Hey, this is Jack from Brook Royal, and you are listening to the Blues Hockey Podcast. Let's go, Blues!
Welcome back to the Blues Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, along with Chris.
Yo!
And happy holiday, belated happy holidays. So the holidays, our schedule got a little messed up, but we're back. Chris is back in town. Last time he was in New York. And the holidays, good for you, obviously.
Yeah, it was, it's low key with me. Unlike you, I don't really have a family of my own aside from my parents. So, for me, Christmas morning is I spend the night at my parents' house the night before. I get up, we have coffee, we let the dog unwrap a couple of presents, and we're done. So it's pretty low key, but it's nice. And if nothing else, it's nice just to kind of shut it down and relax for a little bit. So it's been a nice week. There's always that weird week between Christmas and New Year's where you're never really sure what day it is or what time it is. You're just eating a lot of cheese. Maybe it's Tuesday, maybe it's Friday. No one really knows.
More cheese on top of that. So
yeah.
But we have our I say 3 days of Christmas where we just go to a ton of houses and it's a thing. So but
yeah.
It's over. It was good times. The kid got a lot of good stuff. We're good to go. So everything is positive except for when it comes to the Blues. So we're going to go over the last couple games, some Blues news and notes. We'll go over the whole some more rumors as well because, man, that's about the only thing the Blues are in the news about outside of the big one that just happened today. We're recording on January 1st, 2019. So let's do game recaps first. We're going to go back to the first game right after the break. The Blues come back home after not doing that great on the road once again. They faced the Buffalo. How do you say their name?
The Buffalo Sabres.
That's it. It's the Buffalo Sabres. So we thought we'd see our old friend Patrik Berglund. That didn't happen. Supposed to. So pretty much the story that came out is he didn't report to the team for a couple of days, said he was quote unquote sick when he was supposed to meet the team, I think, to go on a road trip to Washington. He
was supposed to go on a flight, and he no-showed the flight.
So no-showed the flight and got suspended from the team. So we didn't know what's going on. Lots of rumors out there. And about a day later, his contract was terminated. Mutually agreed to terminate. So basically, he decided to walk away from about $12.9 million, $12.69, throw some numbers in there, $1 million on his last 3 years of his deal.
This whole story is fascinating to me. And it's basically, I'm sure we'll dig into it, this is a lesson on how not to be a good agent 101 when it comes to Patrik Berglund's agent.
Yeah, it's got a lot of layers to it. So before we get into the game, we'll kind of talk about this. So let's rewind to July 1st. So July 1st, the big news for the Blues was, of course, acquiring Ryan O'Reilly from the Buffalo Sabres. And Patrik Berglund was included in that as kind of a cap dump. So I remember we talked about this when it happened, like, he must have waived his no-trade contract to go, which I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of nice of him. But, he kind of saw the writing on the wall, decided to move on. That was not the case. So,
no, it was not.
Yeah, so Patrik Berglund's agent, so his full no trade turned into a 10-team no trade on July 1st. So his agent is supposed to resend a list in, I guess, at midnight 12, July 1st, midnight, I need a new list if it changes. Patrik Berglund's agent never got that. The Blues never got that list from Patrik Berglund's agent. So he basically didn't have a no trade clause at all, which basically he got traded to Buffalo with no hassle compared to when he could have maybe stopped that deal dead in his tracks.
Yeah, and I bet you he would have too.
Yeah, so who knows if he was in Sweden at the time? I think reading back on it, it says that I found an article on Post Dispatch where he got woken up by a lot of text So he was indeed traded. He was in Sweden or overseas at least when the trade went down because he got woken up by a bunch of texts. So basically, he was sleeping during the whole trade deadline.
Yeah.
At least the first, not trade deadline, but the first day of free agent signing. So he gets traded to Buffalo. Didn't really want to go there. Clashed with Phil Housley immediately. Only had 2 goals, 5 points. He got regulated to 4th line duty. He got a couple healthy scratches.
The interesting thing was when you read the stories about him in training camp, he was getting along well with everyone, and the fact that Jack Eichel, I think, called him the what was it, the
Swedish Godfather.
Swedish Godfather, yeah.
Because there's a lot of Swedes on that team because of their big rookie Rasmus Dahlin, number 1 overall pick, Swedish, and there's a couple other guys that are younger. So it's kind of like he would kind of be like the guiding force, I guess, for all those guys, and it just didn't happen, I guess.
Yeah, it soured real quick.
There's a bunch of things out. One thing that I read out there by one of the writers that he apparently was in New York just going around to clubs and stuff and just apparently stopped caring. So I truly hope everything's okay with Patrik Berglund. Like I said, he's probably one of my favorite Blues back when he was playing the Blues. So hopefully everything's okay with him, and just I don't know if he just lost love for the game, just given the situation he was in, or something else is wrong. So
I think what surprises me the most about it is, and I've spent my fair share of time in Buffalo, and metropolitan wise, it's not that much unlike St. Louis as far as the makeup and the demographic. It's smaller, but it's very, very similar. What surprises me is that the way that this team got shot out of a cannon to start the season, that he didn't want to ride this wave. And I'm not saying that the Buffalo Sabres are going to win a Stanley Cup this year by any means, but they looked pretty damn good and still looked decent.
Yeah, they had a 10-game winning streak and everything. So
yeah, it really surprises me that Berglund basically cashed out and said, "I'm done."
Yeah, so who knows if he is not signed with anybody?
Maybe doing something at the end of the year, but I'm really, really kind of shocked because, boy, it's not like Berglund. Aside from the fact that this is where he was drafted and had always played, it's not like Berglund had situations that were worse. Didn't have situations that weren't worse than that here in St. Louis with some real bad teams.
Yeah, so who knows? Like, it's one of those things where people always talked about how a lot of players got comfortable in St. Louis, and that's why maybe their performances didn't really dictate what we were paying them. And maybe that's what happened to Berglund. He was very comfortable here. Not saying he underperformed, who knows? So, but back to Berglund, free agent. Who knows if he's going to sign an NHL or maybe stay overseas. For right now, hopefully everything is okay with him. Wish him luck in the future. So the Blues are going to play the Sabres now. Sabres again. And after this road trip, you're thinking, what's going to happen? How the Blues going to play? Nothing happens in the first period. The Blues don't look good. Outshot 10-6. But in the second period, the Blues come alive with 3 straight here. Somebody who is starting to turn it on and figure things out, I guess you could say, is Robert Thomas. He's looked pretty decent on his line
fantastic.
on his line with Bozak and Maroon. So I think it looks pretty good. Thomas gets his third from Dunn and Bozak.
I think that Maroon is starting to look a little better now too. But yeah, Robert Thomas, for being a true rookie, he's getting stronger every game.
Yeah, Maroon winds up getting a goal later on here. The shocker was, and I said which a lot of Blues Twitter made a lot of good jokes about, the second goal here after Thomas scores about halfway through the period off an awesome feed from Perron, who stole the puck in the corner. Jay Bouwmeester gets his first of the year. Beats Carter Hutton. It was Hutton versus Allen in this game. If you want to make that a big deal.
Let's rewind. It's more than first of the year. First since, what was the stat? Last February?
Yeah, it was last February. So last season. So it was late last season.
First in nearly a year.
Yeah. So crazy that Jay Bouwmeester finally, and mind you, it was a hell of a shot too. Beats Hutton over the glove side.
Shot. Everything about it was great. The play by Perron was great. The pass, Bouwmeester shot. it was perfect.
Yeah, so awesome there. And then kind of Maroon winds up getting this goal here, but Thomas kind of makes this play where he's working really hard in the corner, makes a hell of a deke around the defenseman, goes for the backhand, but he kind of fans on the shot. So it looks more like a pass because he was trying to shoot it. I mean, it's obvious he's trying to backhand it on goal, but he fanned on it enough that it went to Maroon, who was plopped on the side of the net and bangs it home past Carter Hutton. Maroon gets his third of the year from Thomas and Bortuzzo, 54 seconds after Bouwmeester. So the Blues are rolling at 3-0. Unfortunately, Jack Eichel gets a late power play goal, his 15th of the year for Mr. Leinen and Reinhart.
Boy, he's good.
Yeah, nothing. It was pretty much a scramble play, and there was a chance for the Blues to kind of clear this, but Mr. Leinen keeps it in along the boards and takes a shot, and Eichel gets the rebound. So, and this is third period rolls around. This is a hell of an effort here, and I was really happy to see him get a goal. Ryan O'Reilly gets his 14th of the year from Steen and Perron at the 13:47 mark. He pretty much gets a puck, pokes it past the defenseman at I would say halfway between the red line and blue line, and just cruises around him and puts a little shot past Carter Hutton, who was trying to go for the poke check, and goes blocker side on Carter Hutton for his 14th of the year. And the Blues cruise to a 4-1 win.
The team looked good.
Against the team who was against the team who was fourth in the East. So go ahead. Sorry.
Looked good. Jake Allen looked good. I think we can now put to rest the Carter Hutton should have stayed here and been our number one guy. With all due respect to what he's done and what this team has done in Buffalo so far, Carter Hutton is what he is. You know, he just got lit up by a Blues team that's having a lot of problems scoring goals, as will be made apparent by the other games we talk about. You know, like, who was it? I put out on Twitter, was like, so about that whole argument about Carter Hutton being our number one, and someone shot back some stats about, well, you know, over sort of 32 games. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Only one of these guys you're talking about is giving up a goal to Jay Bouwmeester.
Sure.
So, yeah, I like Carter Hutton, man, but if you really think that Carter Hutton is the difference between where this team is now and where this team should be in fans' eyes, I think it was proven that night. It's not. He's not Patrick Waugh.
Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I think the Blues maybe would have liked to have Carter Hutton stay. Carter Hutton wanted a starting job. The Blues, unfortunately, had a contract commitment to Allen. At the end of the day, they maybe tried to move him, but they couldn't. They either couldn't or wouldn't, and they had to part ways with Carter Hutton.
I think they would have liked to have kept them both. I think that for the longest time now, and I think you can go all the way back to the Halak and Elliott days, we've had a string of goalies that work better when there is a true tandem that are pushing each other for playing time. We haven't had a true number one goalie. As much as we've wanted it to be Yaroslav Halak, wanted it to be Brian Elliott, as much as we've wanted it to be Jake Allen, when given the opportunity, no one has taken the ball and said, this job is mine, I'm leading this team. And last year you saw, even though the team didn't make the playoffs, that, you know, Allen and Hutton worked good when they were both pushing each other for playing time. And with all due respect to Jordan Bennington and whoever else comes up between now and the end of the year to be Jake Allen's backup, they're going to be Jake Allen's backup. They're not going to push him for a starting job. And, you know, I wish they could have kept Carter Hutton, because I think that he's, you know, every bit as good as Jake, but I don't think he's better than Jake.
Yeah, I think they're I would say even at the very least. I mean, I could probably break it down and go whatever, but on the surface, I think they're both about the same. Unfortunately, like I said, you had a contract commitment to Jake Allen. Good or bad, that's just how it was. Did they try to deal him? Maybe. We don't know. And there was no taker, so you just kind of had to roll with what you had. And then hopefully Jake would snap out of it.
It's the business.
It is what it is. So obviously Carter Hutton got paid, doing okay in Buffalo. So
yeah.
So the Blues move on. face the Pittsburgh Penguins on Saturday night. So Sidney Crosby and the team both in it, and they're starting to turn up a little bit.
Fifth chance at winning 3 in a row.
Yes, that's what I have in mind. It's the 5th time that the Blues have had a chance to win 3 in a row, and every time they have lost, except for one time against Winnipeg. They lost to Winnipeg 3-2. They have lost by an average of 4 goals outside of that game.
Yeah, when this team goes
not
for,
like
yeah, this team goes for 3 and just gets hammered.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's also worth noting this is a Pittsburgh team that a month ago was in the bottom of the East. Since then, going 1, I believe 9 of 11.
Yeah, this game was 5 in a row.
Yeah. They'd won 9 of 11. They'd won 5 in a row, and it had gone from the bottom of the Eastern Conference to, I believe, 3rd in the division, if not 2nd.
Second. They moved to 2nd after this. So our favorite saying, welcome to Blues Hockey, sponsored by Bud Light. And there was a goal pretty close to that time period. About less than 5 seconds in, Alexander Steen takes a high-sticking penalty. Great.
This game quickly became the watch Alex Steen submarine this game. It seemed like every time I turned around, he was getting called for a penalty that led to a goal.
Yeah, the first one, then Crosby gets a goal the 48 seconds in.
Right in front of my face.
Yep, for power play goal. And the next time was, Juuso Ricola from Pearson and Brassard. Zach Austin Reese, Patrick Hornquist, another power play goal. Perron gets us on board after the Blues finally decide to play hockey and put pressure on. And that's O'Reilly, Steen, and Perron. And a nice goal by Perron, his 13th of the year at the 14:36 mark.
Great.
But 4-1 at that point.
Yeah.
Mind you,
and honestly, at this point, you think, was it 4-1 or was it 3-1?
4-1.
3-1. Was it 4-1?
Yeah, they have because he scored. There was a 4-minute period from the 5:13 mark to 9:25 where there was 3 goals by Pittsburgh.
Okay. I remember thinking when Perron scored, if we could just get one more before we're in this game, and then Pittsburgh just said, "Yeah, about that."
Yeah, because Matt Murray was struggling very early in the season. He's starting to turn it around, so you maybe thought maybe we can get in on that. Mind you, they had 3 power plays and had 3 power play goals through the first 2 periods. 2 of those power plays was Alexander Steen taking a penalty right off the faceoff.
Yeah.
And mind you, we talked about this on Twitter. I'll wrap the game up here. Gutzel and Malkin get 2 more goals. Malkin's on a power play. So 4-for-4 on a power play. The Blues penalty kill, which has probably been their only hallmark during the season, actually pretty decent. It was just really, really bad, to say the least. So 4-for-4, did terrible. They've let in power play goals in 9 of the last 11 attempts. So that's starting to fall apart now. And the Blues get boat raced again, 6-1. And, of course, why did we get boat raced? Yeah, of course, we are honoring somebody, so we have to look like complete a-holes. They're honoring Red Berenson for his induction into the American Hockey Hall of Fame. And he dropped the puck at the beginning, and, man, they looked awful. So
like crap. I will say, and, this was, I think, my 6th of my 12 games this year. It's the first time that maybe I really paid attention. This team looked like they gave 0 cares about being on the ice, with the exception of 2 players, Ryan O'Reilly and David Perron. Both looked like they could have cared less to be on the ice that night. Every one of them.
Yeah, they didn't look great at all, to say the least.
I have a friend of mine from Pittsburgh who's a season ticket holder for the Penguins, and he flew in town and we went to the game. Number one, my entire section is Pittsburgh Penguins fans for this game, or dressed as an empty seat night. 2 was we were watching this game, and he looks at me halfway through the second period, and he goes, "Did your team play last night?" I went, "No." He goes, "They're real bad," because they just look confused. They look like they don't know what they want to do or where they want to go. And I was like, yeah, I can't explain it. I can't. I go, because looking, he's like, you guys have strong players. He's like, you guys have amazing players on your roster. You shouldn't be this bad. And I was like, well, you've just described the season so far. I was like, no one understands why, but this team just doesn't care at all. They just don't care, with the exception of the only guy who I really feel goes out and gives it every night is Ryan O'Reilly. Astounding to me.
Yeah, and he's a new guy. So, like I said, Tarasenko has not looked like himself, refusing to shoot. I don't know if the shoulder's still bothering him or he just, I don't know, man. He just doesn't look like himself.
Which brings up I yelled at Jaden Schwartz so hard this game that I turned maroon, and I'm pretty sure he heard, because there was a play in the second period where he got the puck in the slot, I mean, right between the circles, and dropped past it to nobody, and Pitch walked out the other way. And I was just like, I'm so tired of this team doing that. And it happened like 2 more times in the third period with other people doing it. I don't know what is wrong with this team and why our forwards won't shoot the puck in high traffic areas and in high scoring chance areas. But the next time that I see one of our top 6 forwards go into the slot and damn puck, I'm going to lose my mind. It makes no sense. It makes no goddamn sense why this team won't shoot the puck.
Yep, I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunately, like I said, I have a little quote we'll go over after the next game. I think we're at the point where I think finally maybe management has even realized, like, this ain't going to happen this year. Like, this team needs to string together more than 3 together. They need to string together like a 5 or 6 game win streak to kind of feel like they're getting back into it.
Easily. And I'm pretty sure I know the quote that you're going to talk about. And it's like, and if it's taken him this long to get to this point, then that's a whole nother problem, because we've all known this for easily a month to 6 weeks.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the last game of the 2018 season, and I got a stat that we'll go over there. So game starts off, Ryan O'Reilly at 10-minute mark gets a goal hit off a rocket of a shot. Perron steals the puck in the corner, and him and O'Reilly kind of cycle for a second. O'Reilly gets loose in the slot area, phrasing, and rifles a shot past Henrik Lundqvist for his 15th of the year from Perron. And you think everything, the Blues look okay. We'll talk about, they look good. A lot of missed shots. We'll talk about that. A lot of shots wide. Vince Dunn, after this game, he had 9 shots that he missed the net on the last 2 games. That's unacceptable.
Well, it is unacceptable. But get into this team who hasn't been able to put a puck on net for 5+ years.
Yeah, I know. But like I said, that's ridiculous. But unfortunately, Matt Zuccarello gets his 4th of the year at the 1940 mark. Of course, a power play goal. Blues had a chance. They had Pietrangelo, Schwartz, and Edmondson had a puck. Only one Ranger was right there, and all I had to do was shoot it out. And they lose the puck, and they cycle it back down low, and Zuccarello gets a rebound shot and gets the goal. It was the epitome of the season, where the Blues had a chance to clear it and kill the rest of the power play and kill the period off, but they blow it.
Blues hockey
2018,
2019.
Correct. Now, and during the middle of the second period, the Blues are playing, okay. I think I think both teams didn't look great, honestly. It was kind of those games like, wow, both these teams are supposed to be professional teams, and they just don't look great. Boo Nieves gets his 2nd of the year from Strome and Shattenkirk, old friend, at 3:11. He basically comes off the bench, dances around 3 guys, and puts a little backhand shot. Originally, this was given to Cody McLeod because he was parked in front of the net, but then they changed it back to Boo Nieves, who, like I said, 2nd of the year along from Strome and Shattenkirk. I'll be honest, though, that Henrik Lundqvist played out of his mind. The Blues had plenty of opportunities in the second period. Go ahead.
I said Lundqvist played great. He was really, really on his game.
Yeah, the Blues had a chance here in the second period to do something, They had 3 power play chances and just could not get anything going. They had 17 shots, a total of 40 for the game. But Henrik Lundqvist stood on his head. The Blues had 7 shots in the first, 17 in the second, 16 in the third. And just nothing happened. The Blues couldn't get one by him. 37 saves total for him. Or yeah, it says 37 saves, but he has 40 shots down here. That's not correct. It'd be 39 saves according to the article. The article is wrong on Blues website. So interesting stat for the last 2 games. The Blues have 151 shot attempts and just 2 goals to show for them. Of those shot attempts, 69 have been on goal, 46 have been blocked, and 36 have missed the net.
It is a tale as old as time with the St. Louis Blues. Remember, it was a few years ago where our group of friends used to always say, we can't just yell shoot the puck, we have to yell shoot the puck on goal, because otherwise they're just going to hit the glass 4 feet to the right behind the net when we tell them to shoot. I get that, like, not every shot's going to go on goal. But, boy, doesn't it seem like the Blues have an extraordinary amount of shots that don't go on goal?
Oh, yeah. So if you do the percentage there, it's under 50% that the Blues
ridiculous.
Get a shot on goal. Yeah, under 50% that they are getting on. It's really ridiculous there. So I don't even – it's at the point of just you don't even know what to say anymore, honestly.
I mean, it's not like this is new. I mean, we've been talking about this easily 5+ years. Back in the Oshie days and things like that. Like, this team, it's hard not to laugh. Like, they just can't put a puck on goal, let alone in goal.
Yeah, it's.
But I don't understand it, man. It makes me wonder what's happening in the coaching staff and the upper management of this team that can't fix problems like this.
Yeah, it's at the point of we don't even know what's going on upstairs, what's going on for a lot of things. So this thing I wanted to point out was Luke Korak, a little tweet after the game. Said Doug Armstrong's walk downstairs had the look of a death march, slow, reserved to this team's fate.
Yeah, I figured that was what we were talking about, and I'm not surprised to read it. I'm surprised that we're reading this on December 31st, because I think all of us knowledgeable fans put it out by November 15th.
Yeah, I think we were there pretty much the second week of November. I think most knowledgeable Blues fans think that, there's like all this time to turn it around. I said, no, they need to fire the coach as soon as possible and get things rolling because they don't look good. They don't look good for the year. So for the calendar year, the Blues finish with a below 500 record. According to what I see here, they were 34, 35, and 6. From January 1st to December 31st this year. So meaning we've seen mediocre hockey for 2018, to say the least. So don't even know what else to put onto that. So let's get into the positive news.
Well, here's what I would say. Is that obviously the people was all coaching related were wrong. I think that Yo was part of the problem, but I think it has become evident now that you have your player roster more so than just Jake Allen can't stop a puck. There is something wrong with Vladimir Tarasenko. I don't know if it's physical. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's that he doesn't want to be here. But it's obvious that something's wrong. He is not the player that he has been the last his day. I mean, he's just not. If you're done, I think you have reached the point, and we may have talked about this last podcast. I think Alex Steen and Pietrangelo into your office, and 3 of you guys and figure out what the hell's wrong between the two of them. And just put it bluntly and say, can't figure out how to coexist on this team and work together to submit a list of teams to me that you are willing to be traded to, and you need to be prepared to be shipped out. Because it's become there is something wrong in that locker room, and everybody points to that. Everybody. And it has on this team over the last 4 to 5 in this gradual decline ever since this team made the Western Conference Finals. It has been that has been steeper and quicker than it really needs. And no one is stopping this train. And if you need to gut this to fix the problems that are happening in this locker room, then you need to do it as a general manager. And if this is the first time I've said it, then Doug Armstrong, you need to go.
Yeah, and something needs to be done. It's frustrating to say the least. Like you point out, the seats are. It's getting to be dressed like an empty seat night at the Enterprise Center on prime nights, like a Saturday night against Pittsburgh. If you said that 2 or 3 years ago, that place would have been sold out, I would have thought you were crazy, or there must have been a major ice storm that nobody could get there. It's just ridiculous. So let's get into the good news for tonight. So it's January 1st. The big news on January 1st is always the Winter Classic. So the annual Chicago game is like what we like to know it right now. Chicago played Boston today. Boston was victorious.
The annual watch Chicago to the sun.
Yeah, Chicago was. They finished with their loss today. Their outdoor games, they are 1-5 and they're 0-4 on Winter Classic days. So that's awesome. So that's why, unfortunately, that makes them closer to the number 1 pick. Whatever, they're going to get it anyway. I just have that feeling as the season goes on.
Yeah,
just be resound to it.
I agree.
So the big news that comes out of today's broadcast. So next year's Winter Classic will be in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. The Dallas Stars will host. Yeah, the Dallas Stars will host. That's like, I think 90,000 people, what they say. To be determined is the opponent. Of course, I go online, just look around. Everybody's got their source, which I think is hilarious. They're like, oh, the Blues are going to be announced as one of the guys, according to, I saw somebody said, according to TSN and Dallas Morning News. I Googled that for 20 minutes. I did not find a word about that. There was an article on Dallas Morning News stating there's a numerous potential. Minnesota, which makes sense, you think. Would it be Minnesota?
I think that needs to be the game. Yeah. Honestly, as a hockey fan, I think it's Minnesota because of the North Stars connection.
Somebody said due to Buffalo Sabres, due to the Stanley Cup final game that happened years ago, St. Louis be a good divisional opponent. Somebody even pointed that out. So we're maybe an option. But I always think the Minnesota would be my choice if I had to pick one. Or they could pick a very popular opponent. The Calgary Flames and Winnipeg Jets get the Heritage game in October, Heritage Series game. Colorado gets another game at I think it was like an Air Force base, I believe. And that's a to be determined as well.
Air Force Academy.
Yes, that was it. So they're to be determined as well. So who knows what they pick? I got a feeling one of those games is going to be Chicago. I just had that feeling.
I don't think it will be. I think they have to give Chicago at least a year off. I think the Blues get one of those games. And my gut is that the Blues get the Colorado game. And if they do, I'm going to that game because Colorado is gorgeous. The Air Force Academy, for those who don't know, is just outside of Colorado Springs, which is about 60, 70 minutes outside of Denver. But it's in the middle of the mountains and pine trees. And it is some of the most beautiful scenery you have ever seen. And if the Blues get that game, I might go to that game.
Interesting. So that would be to be determined. So, of course, the last bit of news, which pertains to St. Louis, the Blues have been awarded the NHL All-Star game next year. So the 2020 All-Star game.
I'm really excited.
Will be in St. Louis for the first time since was it 87 or 89? So let's see. So I got a couple quotes here. We'll go over real quick. Just fill in. So Gary Bettman, quote, St. Louis was a great host for us for the Winter Classic. And the final analysis, the total circumstances, including the substantial renovation that was done to their Enterprise Center, made it the right time to go back. We have no doubt it will be a huge success. So one quote there. Yeah, and it's going to be great. So the other quote that we will say was Tom Stillman. It's a great day for the city of St. Louis. So the main thing was the Blues haven't had those renovations. So the Blues didn't have those renovations. I don't think you're going to see this happening. So there's a quote from Tom Stillman. This is a great day for not only Blues fans, but for the city of St. Louis. Our city, our great fans, and our corporate partners have shown tremendous loyalty to the Blues since the inception in 1967. And landing a major event such as the 2020 Honda NHL All-Star game is a testament to the relentless passion and support, end quote. The last time they did host the game was 1970 and 1988. So I was in between, so I messed up there. Excuse me. So January 24th through 26th, you're going to see a ton of stuff happen around St. Louis. This is great for the city. It's really exciting. You're going to see the skills competition. If they do this will be the 3-on-3 game on Sunday, or they changed. I think they'll change the 26th is a Sunday. Yes. So you're going to see a lot of fun stuff coming for the All-Star weekend, a lot of revenue for the city. At the end of the day, it's just going to be great. So All-Star game.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so it should be great.
So make me have to redo my tickets.
Yeah, so that's what people are saying is, they got us to renew our tickets for one more year. It's like, I'm sure this was a lot more in advance until the Blues started being really awful this year. So
I would agree.
Yeah, so positive stuff there. So I did see an interesting today, which I wanted to bring up and get your thoughts behind it. So one of these Twitter followers is Incarcerated Bob, which seems to be kind of one of those. Game. Yeah, so it has one of those like he's gotten some stuff right. So it's one of those things where he might have a source or something like that. So he always posts like, "Hey, look what I got right. I called these trades. I called this trade." Like I think he had the Goldschmidt thing for the Cardinals nailed down like a day early, like almost to a T, basically. So maybe he has a little bit of credibility. So the rumor he has said that the Blues are now shopping Alex Pietrangelo hard. Toronto, Boston, Colorado are all major players in acquiring Alex Pietrangelo. Toronto is the obvious one. Colorado is going to have to pay an arm and a leg due to being in the division. I don't see that happening.
I would agree.
Boston is interesting. I could see that happening due to the friendship with David Backus. But if they can make it work up there financially, maybe that'll work. I don't know what they have a lot of young players, man. I'll be honest. Boston, if they can get some of those younger players like DeBrusk or something like that, that might not be awful.
Agreed.
So we'll see how that turns out. Like I said, it's going to be the rumor season for the Blues. That's not all we're going to cover from here on out, man. But I'll be honest, I'm going to mention it here and there just because doing game recaps is going to be tough. That we talked about. We're going to talk about every little thing we can about the Blues here because the trade deadline is going to be the Blues are going to be very heavy this year on the trade deadline. I'm going to see a lot of movement, I think. I would be shocked.
I would agree. Like we said on the last podcast, I don't necessarily think this team's until the deadline either. It's Armstrong has always been very the deal he wants, he pulls the trigger. And I think that as we get further into this new year, you start seeing pieces drop sooner than later.
Yeah, I think Pietrangelo. I do think Steen. And I think honestly, if I had to guess, even though I saw people say Tarasenko seems more likely to be traded, I just think there'd be such a revolt on this team. I think if I'm leaning more toward. I mean, I'm thinking something's wrong. I'm going to give him to the rest of this season and see how he is next season. But do you think I saw this quote the other day? Let me spit it out. Do you think instead of being like a superstar along the lines of, let's say, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, a superstar like that kind of caliber, or is he more of a secondary superstar like a Phil Kessel?
Tarasenko?
Yes.
I think that he has the ability to be Alex Ovechkin level.
It's about putting that effort out there. Who knows if he's not putting that effort out there. He just looks like, I don't know, a step off.
Dude, I'm telling you, I don't know if it's mental or physical, but something is not right with him.
Yeah, I had a friend who was sit at the Pittsburgh game as well that night, and he was behind the Blues bench. And he said every time Tarasenko came to the bench, he slammed his stick and was yelling. So the dude, I think,
it's got to be frustrating.
The dude has to be extremely frustrated.
Be frustrating.
So, Blues struggling to say the least.
Yeah.
So.
And I will say this: if you look at December as a whole, was a better month for the Blues. They put some wins together. The problem is when they would lose games. Oh boy, would they lose in murdering fashion?
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's just they're right as of right now. They are at the bottom of the standings, so they are officially tied with Ottawa with the least amount of points in the NHL. Mind you, they have a ton of games in hand compared to some of the other teams that are above them. For example,
Chicago.
Chicago has 5 more games played than them. Right above LA Kings have 3 more, and Chicago's only 2 points ahead of us. So mind you, could they blow 5 games? Maybe, but
easily.
But they also could win. Let's say
they could win 3 of those 5 too,
and then push it with the 40 points, which puts them right up to the point of almost the playoff picture. But that's if they play all the games. But I just don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't think it is. The funny thing to look at, and we can say this and then wrap it up, is that if you look at where their games in hand are, if they to win all the games in hand that they had on the Dallas Stars, they went back of the Dallas Stars for the second wild card.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy it is! As bad as this team is, and they're bad. They've got the games in hand to turn it around. There's just confidence in the fact that they'll win those games.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you just don't know which team is going to show up that night, and that's the huge problem with this team, is that you don't know who is going to show up. Is it going to be the team that plays like they play against Buffalo, where they shut the major stars down and they get clutch goals from different lines, or you get the team that gets down after 1 minute in against Pittsburgh and gets boat raced against 6-1 and doesn't look like they're in it at all. Or I don't know. It's how it's been this year. When you tune in, you don't know what you're going to see, and that's unfortunately that's what keeps bringing me back to watching this team over and over again. It's like, am I going to be happy when I watch this team? There's no give me games anymore with this team. It's just oh, they're going to play Ottawa Senators, let's say, as soon, or for example, coming up soon, they're going to play a week from yesterday. 6 days from now, they play Philadelphia, who's second to last in the East. And I would say in the past, if we could beat them easily compared to their record, they're exactly the same record as us, 15-8-4 at this time. So who knows how that game is? It's very interesting on what this team is. Speaking of Philadelphia Flyers, before we wrap it up, old friend Yori Laterra. Oh boy! So he has been charged with trafficking drugs in Finland. Apparently bought over 8 kilos of cocaine, which is ridiculous. But yeah, so anyway, we'll wrap it up there for this week. So we did our contest giveaway before I wrap it up. It'll be A Gibbs and we'll wrap it up there. And like I said, A Gibbs _STL Blues. So one on Twitter. Thank you for winning our contest. I really appreciate that. I messed up your Twitter name by accident. I apologize on that. So get a hold of us at Blues Hockey NHL. Chris is at Hossapalooza. And on Facebook is Blues Hockey Podcast. And then also you can find us on Instagram is Blues Hockey Podcast. Our website is blueshockeypodcast.com and also .net. And email us with any questions, comments, concerns, reviews, whatever you like. We'll read them on air. It's blueshockeypodcast@gmail.com. So also remember to find our shirt on Glass Bangers. I always forget to mention that. They have a sale going on right now. So please get on that. It's 25% off. It's any shirt, not only our shirts, awesome company. We got an awesome shirt, so go ahead and buy that. So we're going to keep coming at you the next couple of weeks. I got the All-Star game coming up. We got some stuff planned I'm still working on. Just kind of getting things lined up has been difficult, to say the least. So we'll catch you guys next time, and hopefully we can talk about some more Blues wins.